Hello everyone, and welcome back again. I'm just doing a little companion video here to the video for the lug nuts on your camper. I was using a Milwaukee 1/2-inch impact tool. Now, a lot of you are going to question the idea of using an impact tool on the lug nuts. As you know, if you go to a tire shop, that's all they're going to use is an impact tool. They're not going to use a hand lug wrench. It's too slow for them. It doesn't work. Some tire shops will actually use a torque wrench to torque them, but they're going to do all their primary work with an impact wrench. The reason I have an impact wrench to use to begin with is I use a Ford F350 dual rear wheel as my tow vehicle. That's my daily driver. That's what I've got. The lug wrench that comes with that from the factory that would be used to change a tire out on the road has a short socket, as it were, and then it's got a long adapter piece that fits into that socket that you put your handle onto. On the front lugs, you use that lug nut, that lug wrench socket, and the handle, you're good to go. But on a dual rear wheel truck, the wheels are so deep that by the time you put the socket, the extension, and then the wrench handle on it, a lot of times when you start trying to take those lug nuts off, because they're so tight, being a dually, you're going to get as much downward torque as you get round torque on it. So your handle is going to be pushing toward the ground as much or more sometimes as it is going to be trying to turn the lug nut. So I bought a 1/2-inch impact tool so that I could just take my impact socket, put it on my lug nut, pull the trigger, and take my lug nuts off. I've got no horizontal torque, as it were, leverage against those lug nuts while I'm trying to take them off. All my torque is directly in the direction of taking it off or putting it on. I use that, taking it off and putting it on. Sure, I should be using a torque wrench on my truck, but I have never had an issue as long as I don't sit there and crank on it forever. It's kind of a feel thing. I've been doing this for many years, and I can kind of feel what I'm doing. I can watch my socket and tell when it stops turning, a couple of hits, and I'm generally pretty good. Every once in a while, I'll take a torque wrench and double check myself. But generally speaking, my 1/2-inch impact works fine. There are brands out there other than the Milwaukee. I happen to believe in the Milwaukee tool brand. I know that if I have a Milwaukee tool, it's going to be with me. If it does have a problem, Milwaukee's going to take care of me, just like Grand Design is with my rig. So since I've already got that, I've got all my other cordless tools as Milwaukee as well. I do have some Ryobis that I'm probably going to be getting rid of when we go full time in our rig, simply because I just don't want the double systems for charging. But I use that impact tool to take the lug nuts off. It's quick, it's easy, it is super convenient, and it works. When I put them on the rig, I am careful. I tighten them down with the impact to a certain point, and then I do get my torque wrench out to finish it. I just wanted to let everybody know in this additional video that I'm not just cranking down on those lug nuts on the rig and possibly damaging the lug studs. I am using a torque wrench to double check my work and make sure that they're not too tight or too loose. But you can use an impact tool versus a lug wrench, and quite frankly, how many people have really got a lug wrench for your RV? Most people don't, and unless you get a 4-way lug wrench for your car or your truck, you may or may not have the right size that you need for your rig wheels. On my truck, it uses 19 millimeter as uses the 13/16 for my lug nuts, which is 19 millimeter, but the lug nuts on the rig are 21 millimeter. So therefore, I could not use my truck lug wrench for my rig anyway. I would have had to have bought a separate lug wrench. By using the impact tool, it simply cures two problems with one solution. That's all it's for. Don't go crazy with me and start giving me all kinds of comments about, oh, you're going to break your lug nuts, you're going to stretch them, you're going to soften them or weaken them. I get that that can happen. Please understand that if you use an impact tool, you have to be careful with it. It's not something you can just go out on a limb with first time, not worry about it. You have to be careful. You have to understand what you're doing. And most of those impacts do have a setting 1, setting 2, setting 3, maybe a setting 4, where 1 is a lighter impact and 3 or 4, whatever your top one is a much harder impact. If you're not sure, use number 1. Use your lighter impact. That will tighten them up, but it won't get them tight enough to be safe on the road. And also remember that after you change your lug nuts, put 30, 50, 100 miles, whatever you're comfortable with. I wouldn't go more than 100 miles. But put mileage on your rig and then take your torque wrench and recheck the torque on the lug nuts to make sure that those aluminum wheels were properly seated when you tighten them up, that you didn't have any flexing that needed to be done in order to make sure that they are solid. Just go around the wheels, check all your lug nuts. It doesn't matter whether you got 5 lug nuts or 8 or 10. You need to do this on your truck or your trailer. It's just a safety issue. Make sure you do that. It'll keep you safe on the road. Thanks, and have a great day.